What's up, guys? I'm going to do a quick video here talking about more or less how I think retro gaming is honestly a waste of time. And I know this is somewhat subjective, but I'm going to try and be fair about the idea of my points I'm trying to get at to. But why I think I'm going to make a case for emulation for people that either don't do emulators, and for the most part, I think the big retro gaming community that's out there are more so people that are like me, that aren't really tech savvy, don't mess around, didn't really mess around with emulators too much, are nostalgic for those old times. We're old school gamers. I think this stuff bubble is peaking once when the NES Classic and SNES Classic came out. The nostalgia went through the roof. I mean, the packaging of the products made us feel like this is the way to play games. I miss the old days. I'm not going to talk about the psychological void that's being filled in collecting these things. All I know is that I think I was lucky enough to get out what I did because I was like many of you guys. If you like retro gaming and you like watching gaming channels, you know that these guys are the ones making the market. I mean, these are the guys that are profiting from making it seem like these games are rare, and for sure they are now, but they're not going to be rare in the future. But they're the ones making it seem like having this wall of games is cool. And obviously, there's a trend and there's an influence to these walls of games and literally crap on their um, bookshelves and shit, and making other people want to do this. And I am guilty of this. I bought a bookshelf that now takes up space in my great game room that I have a little set up in my basement, a little sanctuary. All right, and I got into retro gaming. I got into collecting these old cartridges and breaking out my old systems that I still had and the ones I sold. And I've had this in the past. I mean, I wasn't just new to totally influenced by these guys because I would buy and sell old systems for a long time. I would buy and sell. I bought at least 5 different PlayStation 3s because I would buy one, sell one, justify for another purchase. I never made a wall and displayed it. I never would have thought about that. I literally bought them for functionality. Like I want to play these games again, and I didn't really know or didn't dabble in emulation. I just figured that was more of a PC thing. I didn't like playing on a computer. I like the console. I kind of knew you could mod Xboxes. It wasn't until recently that even though I knew you could do it, that you could just get them off eBay, which sounds really stupid, naive. I just didn't do that. I mean, I was someone who considered myself a gamer, but I was busy with other shit in my life. And if I played games, it was usually newer ones. And this is again the thing to think about. I mean, I would order and I would pay the extra money sometimes. I would go to gaming conventions and pick up a score. But think about when you pick up a score of games or you buy a game off eBay that you really want. Like I recently bought Boogerman because I loved that game as a kid. I thought it was hilarious. My little 4-year-old loved it. He thought it was funny, so that was fun. But I paid $30 for that game. I just bought it off eBay. I'm like, you know what, whatever. I'm not gonna feel like hunting it down. I just want to get this game. It's a cool game I want. When I got it, I'm like, this is awesome. I fire up the old Sega, and I've done this in the past. You guys know. I fire up the Sega. I even plugged it into an old CRTV. I have this big ass CRTV now that I got for free off Craigslist. Just picked it up one day. But it's a behemoth that takes up space now in my basically in my basement on the ground. I got my freaking TV stand for this thing. But I'm gonna get rid of this thing too because a whole nother side tangent. I honestly think when I plug my Sega into a 2011 1080p TV that still works fine. The Samsung TV still looks great in my opinion. Put on change the aspect ratio. It does not look that different, and I don't think it's that big a deal as much as people say it is. But that's what these snobs want you to think. They think if you play emulators, that's what I thought. I'm like, well, another drawback of not playing an emulator is just because I feel like I'm not getting the same experience. And for sure, there's some emulators that are really bad, but it really is not that different. And you get the same kind of quote unquote feels from these games. So what I'm trying to get at is if you don't have an emulator yet, emulate some of these games, and you're gonna see you're just gonna not feel the energy to put any money into these games. Because the big part I know for me was the idea well, I like the physical stuff. I still love and support buying physical games over digital games. As much as I'm saying everything's kind of digital, and maybe that mindset will change too. And I only do that more so because there's value, because I love the idea that I have this thing that if I wanted to go I'm done playing it, I can go sell it. Or if I want to borrow it, I still love that idea. It's a physical thing I still own. And I still think that's important to keep promoting on new games about buying real physical releases, because you now own this thing that if you do not want it, you can now sell it to somebody else. That alone is the reason. I'll make a separate video of this. That's the reason to buy physical games and why you should be buying physical games. If you just want to collect games and just collect them and never feel like getting rid of them, I mean, then another reason to collect physical games. But in my opinion, if you're never gonna get rid of it, I just get the digital one because now it's. I mean, it might go away, and I guess that's the other argument that the whole thing of like they change servers and stuff. I'm going on tangents here, but in the future, there's gonna be a all-encompassing Nintendo platform that'll probably be all digital, and you will be able to get all of these games. And when that happens, these games that you're collecting for are going to be worthless. And people still think, like I thought, is that if I have this physical game, I always kind of own it. I can play it whenever I want, but that is not true because these things are all going to deteriorate. They're not going to be able to play anymore. You're going to need new TVs, new hookups, new components. So that idea is kind of a myth, but you'll still be able to find these games. And that's why I think if you're not into emulation, like you're someone who's like a casual gamer, casual dude like me, has limited time to play things, limited time to like tinker around with stuff. Just buy an emulation machine off eBay, whether it's a Raspberry Pi modded with games or an old Xbox modded with games with thousands of games, tens of thousands of games. You're never going to play all of them. Once you get that abundance of games, that void of like, I want to get this next thing, I want to get this game is gone. Because you can play it and the nostalgia factor, you get to play it, that void is kind of filled. And the cool thing of having this thing up there, which I think, if you want to spend your money on these things, I'm not judging you for that. Well, I can say that too. I mean, like, if this means a lot to you, having this system or having this cartridge there, it's cool. But I mean, most people, like I bought that Booger Man game. It's the cartridge is sitting there. I was debating really hard spending an extra $20 to get the actual case, and I think that'd be kind of cool. But with all these things so far, and this is why I'm going back now selling these old new games I just bought again. I don't want it. I mean, it's like. It feels a cool need for like literally 10 seconds and goes away. Which is the cool thing about emulators is that as soon as you feel that itch, like, oh, I really want this thing, play an emulator game of it a couple rounds and see if you really still want it. And then see if you still have that same itch. Odds are, I think you won't want it. But if there is a game that's special, yeah, definitely buy it. And I'm not saying, well, spend whatever you want on stuff. But I'll still keep my systems, and I still have this bookshelf. I'm not gonna get rid of this thing, but I got some bookshelf. I put some other things out there, like nostalgic items, like figures and stuff. I'm not gonna get carried away with like a whole wall of shit though. And I have an old system still set up there. But my point is, these people that are on YouTube talking about the importance of these emulating these physical games, they're gonna be worth nothing. And that's why this stuff is it's an expensive hobby that, in my opinion, is under a heap of myths about where the game industry is going. But there's people on there that I don't even know how they have time to even play these games, let alone, do other games. This one guy was playing a review of Final Fantasy VII, and how he played it 100 times. How did you play Final Fantasy VII 100 times? On top of, you have this gaming channel, and you're putting content on there, you're editing videos. You're assuming playing these old retro games. I don't know how the hell either guy has awesome time management or no time management whatsoever, and this is all this guy does. But for the general dude out there, or girl, whatever, I got a family, I got kids, I got limited time to play games. I want to play. I realized, but I come to the realization, even when I got the SNES Classic and NES Classic, as much as I thought I liked them, I'm like, oh, I'm going to get into retro gaming, play my old games, and play the hell out of this thing. I don't play. I'm actually putting those things on eBay in the next few days as I'm thinking about this video. I don't need those systems because I'm playing that shit already. And I have the Switch. I'm getting the feels from the Nintendo Online system. And the other thing too, people are like, oh, I don't want to play an emulator because I don't rip anybody off. I kind of had that too until you realize really simply, someone tells you to really simply that like, if there's a new digital game that's out, I'll still buy it if it's good. If it's a new digital game release and I want it, I'll pick it up. Like Final Fantasy VII for the Switch, I'm going to buy that. For sure. Even though I have a physical copy of my PlayStation, I will buy that new release. But most of these games that you really want, most people's games, like say, I don't know, WrestleMania 2000 for N64 or something, that's not re-released anywhere. At least I don't think it was. But if I found that like in the Nintendo shop, I would buy that for sure. If it was like $10 or something. But it's not there. And so you just are paying somebody, whatever, $50 on eBay or however much it costs to get that game, just to have just to be able to play it. So I just want to play this game. I can understand that. But once you realize that you can get this stuff easy, you're not going to have that same itch. And like I said, the money's just going to the reseller who's up in the price. It's not going to the developer. The money's already been made to those guys. So until they make a new thing where that's re-released, I could see that. And I think people will buy that. And when that happens, because it will happen, the value of these games will go straight down. Once they go straight down, people's love of they think of these games, I think, is going to go straight down. Same thing with comic books. Same thing with DVDs, CDs. Think of all the CDs and DVDs collections that were out there. I had a massive DVD collection. I gave all my DVDs away to my brother-in-law. I still have some DVDs, and I still think having the physical copies are still there. But honestly, even the DVDs I have, I mean, how many of those are actually watching? Very little. And I like them just because I do sometimes throw in a physical DVD because there's something I can't find and I want this thing and I'll put it on. And it's still very useful and practical nowadays with having like whatever a PS4 there set up in your house or a DVD player. And I still even have a new van that has a DVD player for my kids, so I still use DVDs in that way. But think of all the CD collections that went down the tube. And that was a huge emotional thing. You could never foresee somebody who had their CD collections like, one day you're going to throw all this shit away. You're never going to keep this. And that's happened to me when I had a massive, crazy metal DVD, CD collection that I loved. And even now, I do not have that in the same feel for it because it's so easy to get the same music so much easier that I don't have any second guesses about it. And that's what happens with emulators naturally, but that's what will happen in the future when all these games go digitally. You're not going to all that nostalgia is going to go right out the window. Because that's exactly my DVD collection. I had hundreds of those DVDs. I took some of the CDs out, put them in a case, but I just threw all the cases away. And I was someone who loved the cases. I would look at all the cases. In retrospect, I sometimes think about, I wish I had that. Not really. When I had all this crap in my house. And I still have some CDs I'm holding on to. Metallica CDs when I was a kid. And even that's kind of worthless because I'm like, I already have this shit. But one day to show my kids, like, hey, this was some really cool music. I like this. This is what a CD looked like. I held on to a couple just for historical purposes, basically. But and there's some stuff that has some value. Like, I think this is worth something, but isn't really worth anything. So I kind of just farting the fact I don't want to throw it away, give it away because it had so much sentimental value to me. That stuff maybe might be worth keeping, but this is going to happen, guys. I mean, just pay attention. Look to the past. What's already been going on. You're going to see this stuff's going to be worth nothing. So that's it. My point is just be mindful of this stuff. If you want to get your rock solid point in game, play the game on an emulator and then see if you still want this physical thing. But you're going to save yourself money. What you spend your money on is up to you, but spend it on a new game. I didn't even talk about that, but that's the problem. There's so many new games for a limited time. I get these retro systems and I'm like, I got at least 10 games in my mind right now that are new that I will not touch for another 2 years. I haven't even touched God of War yet. And that was huge. I just bought that yesterday, 2 days ago, because there was a sale. I was waiting on it. It was like $29 now, brand new. So that I'm going to be playing. But I got other games. Yakuza 0. Like, I want to play that extremely bad. I'm going to have Shenmue 3s coming out soon. I got some games for the Switch. I just bought a Switch I want to play. So I don't think there's going to be any shortage of games to play. And I think collecting these games, you're going to see, is just becoming more of it's an influence is what it is. You're influenced by these other people. And just think about it. I could be wrong, but questions, comments, let me know. I'll see you guys.